Database management system concepts are used by many companies because of its flexibility, and you can manipulate your data and store your data as well. And if you want to forecast your business, you can use your data which are stored in database. So keep that in our mind. We came up with a tutorial where we are going to talk about one particular topic from structured query language, that is case statement. We will see what is case statement, when to use case statement, and how to implement case in MySQL. So let's get started with the tutorial. But before start the tutorial, let me introduce that Great Learning has come up with a brilliant idea, that is Great Learning Academy, where you will get almost 80 plus free courses, and after complete your course you can claim your certificate as well. And if you want to do these courses in your mobile application, that is also possible using Great Learning app. Start. Now we are going to talk about operators. It's any operator which is used with clause. So what is this any operator? The any operator only feeds the values if any of the subquery values meet the condition. Yes, so we already learned about what is subquery and how we can start using subquery. Suppose you have two query and you have used the subquery concepts, and from there you just used any operator which is gonna give you, if your one query meets any condition, it's gonna give you the result for that. So let's go to MySQL Workbench and let's have a look at how this any operator works with subquery. So as we are using the database that is called use demo final one, so let me just use the same database we are using for joining the table. And if you want to see how many tables you have in the database, again we are going to use show tables command, and from the show tables let me execute that. Yes, you can see we have this tables in that particular database. We have account, we have aged customers, we have customers, data of customers, right? Now maybe I want to say, hey, I just want to make a new database, right? So as we are doing the like subqueries and the tables, right? So I am going to use my demo final one, right? Let me just create the database. So anytime we create the database, we write the command called create database and then the database name, that is my demo final one. Now, as you can see, we have created the database. Now we are going to use the same database, that is called use demo final one, right? When you execute this command, your MySQL Workbench will understand, hey, I just need to use the current database we have created right away. Right, so this is how you can specify your MySQL Workbench that which database you want to use for your particular project. Now, if you say, hey, I just want to see, like, we just make those databases and I just want to see how many tables we have. According to the like new database, we did not create any tables in that. Let me just do that. Yes, you can see tables in my demo final one is 0. There is no table we have created so far. So every time I am using one command and I'm showing how to create the table, how to make the relationship between them, because it's really important to understand how this RDBMS concepts works and how you can start creating your databases, right, and creating your tables on that particular database. So the same table we are going to use over here as well, that is called data of customer. When we have creating the create table data of customer, we have some attributes called customer ID, first name, middle name, last name, city, age, mobile number, occupation, and DOB, right? And whatever the varchar and int we have written, that is the type of your attributes or the column. So when we are actually storing the database in MySQL, we use a tabular format, right? So in the tabular format, we have rows and we have columns. So this your attributes will be the rows, right? Your attributes will be the columns. Okay, so you can see we have created one table, that data of customers. So if you just click show tables, you can see this data of customers is already updated, that hey, in the new database you have created one table that is called data of customers, right? Let me just insert the value. Again, for inserting value, what you need to do, just write insert into command and then your table name, then the values, right, and then your value, whatever the value you want to give. But be sure you are giving this value in a proper sequence, the same sequence you have written when you have created the table. right? So these are the main syntaxes you have to remind when you work with the SQL. Now, if you want to say, hey, I want to see that my data are already inserted in the table or not, you just need to write select star from data of customers, right? So we all aware of this like commands, right? As we also worked with subquery, we worked with joins and all these things. So it's like, it's a very basic commands over here right now. Okay, so now what we are going to do, as we already are like got this average, sum, count and everything, now we are going to make one table called account table, right? So in the account table we are going to again write create table. The table name is account, right? You will have account number, customer ID, right? BID, branch ID, opening balance and all these things. And again the constraint, when the constraint part come, so you have to be sure that okay, my one constraint is the primary key and second one will be my foreign key. So as a quick recap of primary key and the like foreign key, so primary key basically help us to sort our data. So it actually help us to reduce the data redundancy. There will be no repeated data. It will make sure for that. And when we use this foreign key concept, is basically we use for making a relationship between two tables, right? So these are the main two key we use when it comes to RDBMS, right? So now what we are going to do, again I want to see how many tables I have in my database. Is just a reconfirmations that your table is actually created. Show tables, yes, let me just execute this. Yes, you can see data of customers is already there and account table is also there. So you have two tables. Now if you want to insert them, the same thing, insert into which table and then your values with the same sequence, right? Let me just execute that. Yes, it's also got executed. Now if I to write select star from account, you can see I have my account number, customer ID, branch ID, opening balance, account opening date, a type and a status, right? So this is how our whole concept works. Now we are going to use okay, so now we are going to use what? We are going to use our any yes, any operator, right? So to do that, what we need to do, we can write a, yes, you can see over here I have written one query for this. Okay, so let me just make it big little, so for that you can see my screen. Okay, so you can see if I write the same query again, select star from data of customers, we have this. Now what I said, hey, I want all the customer ID, that is select cust ID from account, that will be from our account table. So let me just go through over here, select star from account. So basically you will get every data you have in your account table, right? So I am going to use to subquery over here. What? So first one I said, hey, just give select customer ID, the customer ID we have from account, where we are using a where clause, where cust ID, your customer ID is equals to, will be any, like any one of them will going to use this particular condition, right? And any, then I said select cust ID from data of customers where city is equals to Delhi, right? So what it's gonna do, so first it's gonna take all the customer, like as we know it starts from the inner query first, so it's gonna take select customer ID, all the customer ID from data of customers where city is equals to Delhi. Let me just execute this particular query first. You will understand what you will it will return. Okay, so when you say, hey, I select customer ID from data of customers, the data of customers where city is equals to Delhi. So you will get all the customers who are belonging from Delhi, right? Now what we are going to do, we are going to use this particular data to our outer query, right? So you can see we already in any, it's like any condition, like any customer you have, then only it's like if you have only one customer, then also it is gonna give you that result, right? Now if we say this customer ID from account, so this customer ID should need to be stay in account as well, right? Let me just execute this query. So we got 1 2 3 4. Yes, can you see we have this much 1 2 3 4, but this many time it is there in the count as well, right? You can see this, right? Yes. So this is how this customer ID is, when this customer ID is there in account table, it's gonna return you the query that, hey, I have this I have this data which is already there in data of customers, and they are belonging from Delhi, and also this customers is there in the account table. So this is from also account table, they are from Delhi, right? So this is how our any is gonna work, right? This is how our any operators work. Now if I said, hey, I just what I got, let me just execute this. Yes, we got all the customer ID. Now if you say, hey, I just want to see the all details the customer has in the account, how can I do that? It's a very simple one, right? Your query will be same, but in the case of customer ID, you just need to write star. It's gonna give all the data from account table, which is the same way you have in the data of customer who are belonging from Delhi, right? Yes, you can see. So if you have this customer ID 11, so they have two accounts, right? So this is why you are getting this record for two times. For 2, 2, for 3, 3, and for 4, you can see what we have. We have this 4 ones. 3, it's also 3, the customer ID 3030003 has two accounts. C0002 and C0001 is also have two accounts, right? So this is why you are getting the same customer ID for twice. Okay, so this is how the whole concept works. Okay, can you see? If here we got 4 only once, but for 3, 2, 1, the C0001, C002, we got how many times? 2, because they have two accounts, right? So this is how this any clause works. Right now we'll go back to our presentation. We will have look at the next operator we have, and then we will again come back to MySQL Workbench to understand how these operators are working. So basically for each and every time what we are doing, we are learning one concepts, and then we are coming to MySQL Workbench to see how these concepts are working, to make your doubts clear. And we are trying to make a data set or trying to make a table every time, because you can revise as well. If you have any doubt on that, it will be cleared out. Okay, so this is how our whole concept is working in this tutorial. So again, if you have any doubt, do let us know in the comment. For that we can help you out to solve your doubts. We will love to, we will be very glad to solve your doubts as well, right? So let's go to presentation and let's have a look at what operators we have next. Now we are going to talk about all, right? All is also an operator which is also worked with the clause only, right? So these operators, it's gonna work with the where clause or the clause or some conditions itself, right? So the all operator only feeds the values if all the subquery values meet the conditions. Okay, so what actually it wants to mean by that? So basically for any, if you can look at the queries, it's like any conditions for one row. It's like if your condition is satisfied for one particular row, then also it's gonna give you a result. But in the case of all, if your one row it's not going to match, I mean maybe 9, you have total 10 rows, and from 9 it's gonna match, but for 1 it's not going to match, it's not gonna give you any results, right? So this is how this all query works. So let's go back to MySQL Workbench and let's have a look at how we can use this all. So whenever you are going to use all and any, be sure what you want. You want for your full table will be, it's gonna use the same condition, it's gonna match all the condition, then only you will get some results. But if it's gonna use any operator, in that time you can say, hey, if it's gonna match only one rows itself, it's gonna give you an answer, right? So whenever you are going to choose your operator, be careful, and to some extent you have to have a proper understanding that how your operators are working, right? So let's go back to MySQL Workbench and let's have a look at how this all operators works. So we are going to use the same table again, the data of customer and the account table. So we are going to use the same query itself, right? So maybe we are going to say, hey, I just want to see all the customers ID and your all the data, all the customers should belong from Delhi, right? How we can do that? So obviously, as our all the customer is not from Delhi, we are not going to get any results. I hope you understand that how this all operators and any operators works. So basically, what I try to do, that using the same query and using different operators, will try to make you understand what is the difference between all operator and any operator. So when you put the all operator, you will get no results. But why? Because your all customer is not from Delhi. You have different customers from different city, right? So in that case, what you will get no results. So but if you put any, you will get the results, because your some of the customer are from Delhi, some of them from Chennai, some of them from Kolkata, right? So this is how your all and any operators works, right? So yes, this is all about the operators you can use with the where clause. Now let's see, and let's go back to our presentation again, and let's have a look at what we have next to learn in the SQL. So I hope this SQL tutorials will actually be very interesting for you, and we are trying to cover all the concepts we have, all the minute and major concepts we have in SQL. Right? Now we are going to talk about SQL case statement. So yes, this is one of the most used way. I mean, when you try to work with any big companies, that time you have to work with case statements. But what is this case statement? For the beginner, maybe you don't need to use the case statement, but when you go for writing some big query and you need to give some if-else statement, like some conditions, that time maybe you need to have a proper case. Okay, so let's have a look at what is case. First, the case statement reads through all the conditions and return a value when the first condition is made, like an if, then else, then if else, right? So yes, if you are going to give this if else and if then else statement, you have to use case, right? So, and your case reads through all the conditions, right? So first it will read all the condition you have given and then returns a value when the first condition is met. So if it's gonna meet any condition, then only it's gonna give you the results, as always we can see in the SQL. Now when a condition is true, automatically it will stop reading and return the results, right? So suppose you give if, and then you said, hey, if your age is this, then it's gonna give you this results, right? So that time it will say, okay, this condition is met, and okay, I need to give the answer for this, and it will stop the execution. It will give the result first. Then again, if no conditions are true, then it will return the value in the else clause. So first it will go for if. As we know, this if and else statement works in our normal programming language. So it's like that. So if no conditions are true, then it will return the value in the else clause, right? It will go to the else clause. If there is no else part and no conditions are true, it returns null. Okay, so if you give only if and you did not give any else part, that time what is gonna do, it's gonna say, hey, I don't have any else, I don't have any other conditions is true, whatever you give, I am gonna return null. So this is how your case statements works, right? So let's go to the MySQL and let's work with few case statements and try to understand how this case statements works, right? As we are learning the beginning part and we are learning the very basics, like how this gonna work, how you can implement them. In the later in the section, we are going to do few projects to understand, okay, I have this database and how can I work with this concepts, right? So that time we are going to merge all the concepts together, and then we are going to just attack the project, and we will try to solve all the statements, right? So it's going to help you to understand SQL better. It's going to help you to solve different types of query, and how can you deal with the some serious, like some difficult query, right? So let's go to MySQL workbench and let's have a look at how we can start with case statement. So we came to MySQL workbench, and now we are going to talk about how we can start off with this table itself. So as you can see, we have this table called select star from. Already we have two tables. We are working with two tables, and one is data of customers and account table. Now here we are going to do few things. What we are going to do? So if you can look at it, first you need to use select. But why? But if you need to fetch any data in MySQL, you have to start with select, right? So you have written select. Then what are the attributes you want to go for? So you have customer ID, if name, that is your first name, age, right? So you want three field to be like, based on your case or your conditions, right? So you have written select customer ID, first name and age. From there you have written case. This is the syntax starts where you need to write case. And you have said, hey, when age is greater than 30, then you have to write age is greater than 30, right? When you said age, when age is equals to 30, then the age is 30. Is the age is not group of 30, right? So this is a very basic, there's a very basic case statement we have written. We will do some more and you will understand more well, right? So if you can look at when, then lastly you have else, right? Then you have to write end as how. I mean, it's gonna give you a total column, right? So that time this age is greater than 30, the age is 30. How you can do that? To doing that, you need to write end as age, right? Your column name will be age, and you have to write this way. Okay, and lastly you need to write from where you are giving this data, this conditions. You are giving this the condition from data of customer, right? So this is how your case statement works. If I can execute the whole statement, first you understand that how it's gonna work, and then we will do few more case statement and you will understand that how this case concepts working, right? Yes, can you look at this? For each and every one we got the customer ID, first name, age. Now you got age. Maybe I can write age information, right? So we are going to get to the same column, right? I don't want that. I want to be age information. Yes. Can I look at this? First one, the customer ID C001. First name Ramesh, age is 45. So which one is gonna work with? Age is greater than 30. As you can see. Now we have Avinash, that is the age is 32. That is also comes in the first one. The age is greater than 30. Then we have Rahul, but the Rahul age is 24, right? Which is not equals to 30, which is not greater than 30. So it's gonna say the age is not group of 30, right? Now we got Parul, and this is C0004. The age is 46. The age is greater than 30, right? Obviously 40 is greater than 30. Now we have Navin, which is not the group of 30. We have Chitresh, we have Amit, Nisha. So for all the data you have in your like data of customers, it's putting all the all the conditions you have given so far, and it's making a new cell, a new attribute, right? A new column according to the based on your conditions you have given till far. So this is how our case works, right? So we are going to use one more, and maybe we are going to use with 3, 4, and then we will have a look at how these customers, how these case studies are working. I hope you understand how these cases are working. So these cases you can use after order by as well, after select as well. So there is a flexibility using this case. Right? So if you are going to use case, you can use this case concept after select, after order by, after group by, everything, right? Okay. Now we will have a look at how you can, order by your CT. Okay. So you can see select. I am gonna say select first name, age from data of customer, then order by. What order by? Why we use order by again? We use order by to sort our data in ascending order, descending order. So I said case when CT is null, then no CT. Okay, else CT. Okay. So as we have all the CT, it's gonna say, hey, you have CT for all the customer. There is no way of using when clause, right? The CT is null, right? So if you can look at it, the Shankar is from Chennai, Ramesh is from Delhi, Avinash is from Delhi, Rahul is from Delhi, right? So this is how your cases are going to work. So if I get going to write select, let's have a look at what we can use else in the case, right? So data of customers, maybe we are going to write, and I'm just trying to figure it out what we can add over here, right? Okay, so maybe we can say that whatever the customers you have from Delhi, so your customers from Delhi, if you are having Mumbai and Kolkata and Chennai, Maybe we can do one thing. Mobile number is also there for everyone. Maybe we can segregate the customers using occupations, right? Yes, right. So maybe we are going to say student, we are going to say service or housewife, right? So you can segregate the student on like that. So anyway, you can use group by, but if you want to use a case over there to do that, you can do that, right? Let me just do that. Okay, I am going to copy this. I just don't need to write the whole thing, right? What do you need to write? Select customer ID, or if you can work with star, right? I don't know it's gonna work or not. Okay, select star. No, it's not gonna use that star part. Okay, so I need to write, I want this to be customer ID, if name, age, and occupation, right? I want to see the occupations as well. Occupation, and then when I said occupation is equals to, right? Let me just write. Occupation is equals to service. Then you are going to say the person works in a organization. Works in an organization. Right. When your occupation is equals to, let me just copy this, is equals to student, right? Then the person is a student. Else the other occupation. So basically you want to see, okay, and as occupation information. Okay, let me just execute this. Yes, we got it, right? You can see for service we get the person works in organization. For student we get the person is a student. For housewife we got the other occupation, right? So yeah, this is how this whole case concepts works, right? Yes, so let's go and let's have a look at what else we have in our next in presentations, and I hope it's actually helping you to understand how this case is working, how the subquery, and what's the difference between, the main question when we go for some interview. I mean, in the last intersection, maybe we will talk about some interview questions as well. So if you go for any interview, what I face, like, you need to understand the basic queries. I mean, at any way, if you are clear with your basic queries, you can go for some complicated queries. I mean, it's all about you need to put your heads down and you need to understand that how this is gonna work, right? But if your base is not clear, how can you just try to think about which query you are going to use, right? Yes, so in that case you have to have a good idea about the basics part. So if I maybe if you think like, why do I need to create table every time if we go for any operators, or for SQL joins, for other things. But yes, if you are actually practicing this, creating table, understanding databases, and creating databases using the basic commands to understand the the whole complicated command that actually help you to understand the basics very well. And when you are knowing the basics very well, and hey, I know the basics, I know how this is gonna work, you can just give me any complicated query. I know how can how can I actually break those query, and how can I start with the very basics one, right? So this is why we really need to understand each and every concept very carefully. Right, so now let's go back to the presentation and let's have a look at what is view and why do we need to use view, right? So let's go to the presentation. Now we are going to talk about view. But what is view? View stands for virtual table, which is based on the result set of an SQL statement, right? But why do we need view again? Wait, just let's have a look at why do we need view. So normally in view it contains row and columns, which is like a real table. It's like a real table if you're going to create a view. The fields in a view are fields are from one and more real tables in the database. So maybe you want to say, hey, I want to make a table from different attributes from different table, but it will not be a real one, but it looks like a real table. Yes, that time we go for using view technique, right? So let's go and let's have a look at how this view are working. Okay, we again came to the SQL workbench. Okay, so if you look at creating view, you need to write create view, the first the first command, that creates view, and then you have to give a view name. So aged customer, right? So I just want to say the before 40, like after 45 the customers are not in a young group, right? So you make, okay, this is the aged customers, the view name will be aged customers, and select what after that you need to write as, okay, as a alias, right? Then you need to write select first name age and city. You want first name age and city from data of customers, okay, where age is greater than 45. Okay, so I said, hey, I just want to create a view which is the age is more than 45 and I want to see all the customers, right? It will be like a real table, right? Let me just do that. Yes, now as we say, this view is already created. Now we need to talk about aged customers, right? So select star from aged customers. It's already like a table. If you can look at Parul, Amit, Abhishek, Shankar, they are actually more than 45 and they are going to be in the view. So Parul is age is 46, Amit is 76, Abhishek is 67 and Shankar is 90. So this is how your views are going to work. Let's have a look at the data of customers and maybe we can make some more view. Okay, we can start with the city. For city, the Delhi one, we want to see all the Delhi customers, right? So here, if we can write the same one and just let me just try this out. Create view Delhi customers, right? I want to see all the Delhi customers as select if name a city when, okay, city is equals to Delhi, right? Let me just create this view. It's already created. Now I need to write select a star from Delhi customers. Again, it's not case sensitive, okay? Can you see all the Delhi customers you got? Ramesh, Avinash, Rahul, Parul, they all are from Delhi. Yes, so this is how your view works. But if you look at, if you write this show table, see, maybe you can say, hey, I just want to see the tables is already created or not. Let me just execute this. Can you see? This view is already there. These are tables, but this is views, right? This is the views, okay? So whatever you have created, it looks like real table, but it is views. This is not like real table, okay? Yes, so this is all about, we have learned about views, we have learned about cases. This is very advanced topic in SQL when we start talking about this, what are the case and what is going to use if, else, then. So these are the cases, subqueries. So basic three things you have to have very good understanding on, very grip on. First is, what is SQL joins, and second one is what are the subqueries, right? Correlated subqueries and other type of subqueries, and then comes the cases, right? This is the main key points to manipulate your data, okay? So yeah, now we are going to talk about what is ear diagram, because why do we need ear diagram and all. We will again talk about all those things. But before start with any project, you need to have a good understanding of ear diagram, right? In this part, we have talked about what is case statement and what is the concepts behind it. How can you implement this case statement in your own database management system? I hope this tutorial will help you to understand your understanding for database management system. Please do let us know in the comment section what you feel about this particular video. Before complete the video, let me introduce that Great Learning has come up with the idea of Great Learning Academy, where you will get almost 80 plus free courses, and after complete your course you can claim your certificate as well. And if you want to do these courses in a mobile application, that is also possible using Great Learning app. Thank you so much.